estás? Estoy bien, pero estoy triste porque puedo estar contigo. I think I got that right. I like to start with a little bit of Spanish because that's all I know. And all of you are learning and probably know a little bit of Spanish. And hopefully Mrs. Murray can let you know. If you don't know what I said, she can let you know what I said because hopefully I got all that right. I'm so excited to be able to put together this video for you. I am sad that I can't be there in Clyde with you. One of my favorite days of the year is when I get to come and speak to Mrs. Murray's Spanish classes about one of my favorite places, and that's the Dominican Republic. So what you will get to experience in this video is just a little bit about the DR, and then I work for an organization called Mission Possible, and I'll share a little bit about what we do in the Dominican Republic. I know some of you I have talked with before, so this presentation is going to be a review for you because some of it will be the same things that you've already heard. I'm sure you remember it all because that's how good of a presentation I do, haha. But hopefully I have introduced a few new things. We're going to talk a little bit about what COVID has been like in the Dominican Republic, and in knowing I couldn't come, I came up with at least one little surprise that is something I'm not ever able to do when I come to Clyde. So you can be looking forward to that as well. The Dominican Republic is on an island called Hispaniola, and Haiti is the other country that is on that island as well. We're going to focus on the Dominican side because in the Dominican Republic they speak Spanish, which is what all of you are learning. And then I'm going to specifically zone in and talk about this area on the map that is circled in green because that's where our school is located in the city, or outside of the city actually, of Barahona, Dominican Republic. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time boring you with history, but I did want to present just a little bit of history of the DR and the island itself. It was originally occupied by the Tainos, I think that's how you say that, native tribe. Christopher Columbus came in 1492, and he took the population of the island from 1 million to about 500. Between disease and battling and those kind of things, the island's population shrunk. The French came in then, and Spain ceded the western end of the island to France, which then became Haiti, which I showed you on that map earlier. And then Haiti actually conquered the whole island for a while until Juan Pablo Duarte helped bring independence. And he is known as like the hero of the Dominican Republic, coming in and saving them and making them an established country. And then the U.S. had a little bit of occupation for a short amount of time, but currently right now the Dominican Republic is an independent country. The Dominican Republic tourism is probably one of the most important part of their economy. The northern part of the island is where a lot of resorts and people will go on vacation. So they thrive on their tourism and helping their economy. I listed on here also just the difference between a US dollar and a peso. Other interesting facts that relate to money is just average salaries in the DR compared to the US. If you think about what you know about the money maybe your parents make, in the DR the average yearly salary is only about $4,700. A teacher, for example, makes $7,000 in a year, which is quite a bit lower than what our teachers make, even though our teachers could use an increase in their salary as well. But definitely it is a developing country. There are remote areas of it that are very underdeveloped, but there are parts of the DR that are very developed. Fishing is also another large part of a common occupation with it being an island. There's a lot of coastal areas, and so fishing is another way that people make their living. The island itself produces a lot of sugar, coffee, bananas, cocoa, and tobacco. In Barahona, where I'm going to talk about a little later, there's actually a sugarcane factory. If you look in the picture, and I'm pointing to the screen, so when you see me, I'll be pointing at the picture. This video, this screen will come up for a little bit of time too, so you'll be able to see it more up close and see what I'm talking about. But the picture in the top here is of a train that carries the sugarcane from the fields to this factory in Barahona. The picture down in the bottom is a Dominican individual from one of our churches, and then an American student. That one of the times we were on a trip with some American students, they showed them how they take sugarcane and peel it and then suck on it. So, I mean, it's sugarcane, which becomes sugar. It tastes different than what our processed sugar tastes like, but it still has a pretty sweet taste. And that's a little bit about that process also. Some of the common things people eat are rice and fish. Again, with it being an island, there's a lot of access to fish and other seafood. Rice is like a staple. Literally, people eat rice almost every single day. And we serve rice, not every day. Sometimes we serve like macaroni, noodles in our lunches for our students, but most days they are served rice with either some fish or some chicken or some sort of protein. In the DR, the average yearly income, which I guess on this screen, my numbers are a little bit higher than I told you before, but is about $6,000 a year. There's more than 30% are below the poverty level. And again, just in comparison to the US, average household income in the US is about $56,000 a year, and only about 15% of the people are below the poverty line. In the pictures on this page are just some examples of homes in more rural parts of the DR. The blue house on here is actually a house that when I'm at our school, I can look out from the roof of our school and see down to that house. Pretty primitive. A lot of families will have, the houses themselves will only have a few rooms, and there's usually a lot of people that live in those rooms. This is another picture that just shows you a little bit. I have been in some houses. I just haven't taken a lot of pictures inside people's homes, but I do have a couple here. In this picture, this family was very proud of the detailing they had done on their porch, and made those concrete forms just to dress up and make their porch look nicer. And then inside that house, you'll see this girl is preparing a meal. Behind her is like a little gas propane stove, which is what most people cook their meals on. Some people have regular stoves just like we do, but a lot of people just have like one of these propane stove tops. The big thing on the bottom here, the big black container, that stores water. A lot of homes do not have running water, especially in the remote parts, like outside of Barahona where our school is. People will collect water. This is actually the container that's on top of our school. So when it rains, water will come into that container. I mean, we've also, when we have large groups of people, we will actually run hoses up there and fill the container. But a lot of people in their homes will have some version of this same thing. Maybe not quite so big for their home, but they will have some kind of container. One of the really interesting things in the DR, in the remote areas outside of Barahona, is there's actually a water truck. So because people don't have running waters, and so they would have to go somewhere and get it. If you have the money so that you don't have to walk to a creek or a river, this water truck drives around the neighborhoods, and you can stop the water truck and and get your containers filled with water for your day, or depending on how large your containers are. But that's a service that's offered if you have the money that you can pay for. Like I said before, many people will live in one small house. A lot of times you'll have a main living area, what we might call like a living room, and then you have a kitchen and eating area, and then sometimes, if you're lucky, there'll be 2 bedrooms, but oftentimes it's just 1 bedroom that's maybe divided with a sheet or a curtain to give you a little more privacy. And then family in the DR is often extended to not just a mother, father, and children, but will include aunts or an uncle or grandparents. So their term of family usually extends to a larger group of people than at least probably most of us. I know some of us probably have extra relatives that live with us, but in America, when you hear family and you think of where they live, it's usually just that main nucleus family. I do want to point out that what I was talking about before is in your more remote rural areas. This is a picture of the capital of the Dominican Republic, which is Santo Domingo. And Santo Domingo looks much more modern. It has tall buildings. You still get a different feel than if you're in a big city in the United States. The architecture is a little bit different. The buildings are still a lot more cement just because of the climate, but it definitely has, I've eaten at a Pizza Hut and a McDonald's, and some of the fast food chains that we have here, Santo Domingo also has. They have hotel chains that you'd be familiar with, so it's just a much more modern feel than once you step out of those large cities. You feel like you're in a different world, where Santo Domingo only seems like a little bit of a different world. So I wanted to point that out so you didn't think the entire island was like some of the rural areas that I'm going to focus more on. I want to explain just a little bit of the organization I work for. I'm going to take a drink of water because I can't stop and ask if you have questions. So I feel like I'm just like nonstop talking. So my pauses will just be sips of water. So Mission Possible is an organization that owns and operates 8 schools between Haiti and the Dominican Republic. And to be honest, we actually just added a couple more schools in Haiti, so that number is not exactly accurate. But we have 1 school in the Dominican Republic, which is near outside of Barahona, Dominican Republic. And students can enroll in our school. They receive an excellent education, and they get a nutritious lunch. I'll talk in a little bit about what that looks like in the 2020 COVID world, because it does look a little bit different currently. Our school in the DR is called Ebenezer School, and it offers education from preschool all the way up through 6th grade. Once you graduate from our 6th grade program, then students go on either to a public high school, or there are other excellent private schools that a lot of those students will continue on into what they would consider 7th through 12th grade. They would call secondary school, all those grades, so they'll continue on their education through that. We are one of the top schools in the area in regards to education. I have just a few pictures just to give you a glimpse of what's a little bit different about school in the DR. And this is our school, but I have visited a lot of schools in the Dominican Republic, and a lot of what you see in our school is very similar to what you'll see in all the schools. For example, you'll notice our students are in school uniforms, and I have not seen a school in the DR or Haiti where students, public schools, private schools, it doesn't matter, school uniforms are worn by all the students. One of the things our school does at the beginning of the day is students do line up and form lines where they They sing the national anthem during this time. They make announcements. They have a devotional. We are a Christian organization, so they'll have a devotional that they start their day with, and then they will dismiss them in lines. You know, you had to line up when you were in elementary school, so they have to line up and head off to class with their teachers. Our classrooms look somewhat similar to your classrooms. The desks look pretty typical to what the desk you're sitting in right now. We are actually transitioning to dry erase boards in our classrooms in the DR. So a few still have chalkboards, but for the most part, we're slowly transitioning to dry erase boards. There's not the technology in our classrooms. We do have a computer lab, but they all have to go to a room that has all the computers, where I don't remember in Clyde. I think you each have a laptop, if I remember correctly. But even if schools that do not, they usually at least have a projector and use a smart board, and we are not at that point in the DR in our schools. A lot of it, well, all of it really is paper and pencil, which has made COVID education a little bit trickier. This is one of my favorite, most recent photos. I was actually able to go to the DR in February of 2020, right before borders closed and people weren't allowed to travel because of the virus. I'm so grateful for that trip because it allowed me one last time to go see them until we figure out this virus and are able to travel again. But this is a group of first graders at our school in the DR, and they were all about cheesing it up for a photo for me. I was distracting them. They were supposed to be washing their hands to get ready for lunch, and instead they were posing for a picture for me. So they did not get in trouble with their teacher. She tolerated me and my photography. One of my favorite things about the Dominican culture, there's a lot of favorites that I have, but family, community, and relationships are a big part of the Dominican culture. Relationships are far more important than time and production. So where we live in a society that's very time oriented, we have set times and we keep track of what time it is, and we have a schedule, and we always seem like we're in a hurry to move on to the next thing. The Dominican culture is very laid back compared to that, and their interaction and relationship with another person is a higher priority than keeping an exact schedule. Now, we have a school, and our school starts at a certain time, and you do get in trouble if you're tardy, and you do move on to your lunch when it's time. So, I mean, there are schedules, and people keep schedules. But if I am in, and normally if I was with you, I'd make one of you do this with me. But if I was in a conversation with one of you, and we were talking, and we were just connecting, I might have an appointment that was supposed to start 5 minutes ago. I'm not going to stop this and rush off to get that appointment. I'm going to wait until we're done with our interaction, and then I'm going to move on to the other appointment. And the cool thing is, the person waiting to talk to you is okay with that, because they would do the same thing, and they're just going to chill and wait until you're ready. And I feel like here we get impatient and think, well, you were supposed to start 5 minutes ago. Where are they? Do they not value my time? Where in the DR, they're just going to take advantage of the time and probably talk to someone else that's around them and build a relationship with that person. And that's really one of my favorite things about the DR. Probably one of the biggest things. I'm a pretty task-oriented person. But one of the biggest things I've learned in going to the Dominican Republic is to just take a breath and there was one time I was in the DR and we didn't have the paint we needed to paint the school. And we would think of that as, oh, you just run to Lowe's or Home Depot and you get the paint you need. Well, in the DR, to get the paint you need, you're running to like a whole bunch of different stores because each store might only have one can of the paint color you need. So we sat there for a long time, and we could be annoyed with sitting there, or what I learned was, let me take advantage of this time to talk to the people I'm with and get to know the people around me. And it's one of the things that I have learned as an individual. The pictures that you'll see next are pictures that relate to trips we do. One of the things Mission Impossible does is we will take trips to our schools in the DR. I'm the educational coordinator at Mission Impossible, so sometimes I take other adult teachers and I will take them on a trip where we'll do seminars and continuing education for our teachers. But then we also take teenagers with us, and we will put on summer camps for the students in the community. So these pictures are some of those summer camps where we do some basketball stuff, we play some volleyball. We've also done art camp, drama, and those kind of things. We did not get to go this past summer because that trip was canceled because of COVID. But it is something that usually each summer we will go and provide this summer enrichment camp for our students. The pictures on this screen are of, we take the kids to this big track facility that's in the city of Barahona and play some baseball, soccer with these kids, do some track and field. Baseball is the #1 sport in the DR. That's usually, at least the boys, their favorite sport. They are basketball fans as well. I've been there several times during NBA finals, and the entire community gathers in locations that, even if I'm not in that location, the crazy noise from the finals, I can hear it in the distance in the town. When they're huge LeBron James fans, and well, I think they still are, but so when LeBron James was in the finals with the Cavs, I mean, you knew the Cavs won just from the screams out in the community. It was really cool. I mean, last time we went, there's also some Steph Curry fans, so you had a little bit of that tension between LeBron James and Steph Curry fans. I don't know. I'm looking forward to when I go next, see if they've all transitioned and are Lakers fans now, since LeBron's moved on. But that's always a lot of fun. They do like basketball a lot and baseball. And then there are some soccer fans. Soccer's a bigger deal in Haiti than it is in the DR, but we can usually recruit a few to play some soccer with us. These are just some other pictures. You notice on the bottom one, they're doing some volleyball techniques. Students, they like playing volleyball too. The girls are partial to volleyball, which is, probably true as it is here. And then we just have a great time with that crew every year that we're able to do camp. One of the things I've learned that relates to the relationship part of the Dominican Republic. It's a very cultural, diverse place. Dance and music is incorporated in, I don't know if I've ever been there, no matter what time of night it is, there's always music in the background. I love the sounds of the country because you can literally sit there and hear Dominican music or noises no matter where you are or what you're doing. Sometimes that's people honking their horns. sometimes that they make a lot of announcements in vehicles with loudspeakers. So if you're there at election time, like we just all got through, instead of political ads on the TV, which I'm sure they have those too, you also have political ads booming from these speakers on top of these vans that drive around the neighborhoods, because a lot of the people in the rural areas don't necessarily have a television, so they still want people to vote for their candidate, so they will boom these messages out in loudspeakers. Our churches have a lot of dance involved in it and music, because that's just part of the culture. And then that relationship component of it does relate to communication. You all are learning Spanish, and some of you are in Spanish 1, some of you are in advanced Spanish and probably could carry on a lot better conversation. But no matter what level of Spanish you're at, communication really is the key to developing relationships with someone who speaks a different language than you. In these pictures, if you notice, that's what's happening. So we have a group of Americans here. We have one individual American over here, and they're willing to communicate, which what you have to be willing to do as a person whose Spanish is not your first language is you have to be willing to step outside of what's comfortable for you. You have to be willing to look a little foolish because you mess up. That's not easy for me to do. It's something that took a lot for me to be comfortable speaking Spanish very poorly. My Dominican friends laugh with me when I try to speak Spanish. I call my Spanish functional Spanish, which means if I don't have someone who speaks English and Spanish around me, I can probably get across what I need to get across, and I'll probably understand. I can understand better than I can necessarily speak it. In the photo with the individual, these two boys were just teaching each other. That's how they were developing a relationship, by teaching each other words in their own language. So it's finding, if you ever have a chance or you're ever in a situation where you have an opportunity to communicate with someone who speaks Spanish, it's being willing to risk making mistakes in order to do that. In each one of these scenarios, that's what the people in the pictures did. I'm in the one picture, and I literally in this picture was just one of my favorite questions to ask a group of students is, ¿Cómo se dice? Because then I can just point if I don't know the word. So, ¿Cómo se dice? And I'll point at something, and then I'll say in Espanol, and then I'll tell them how to say it in English. You can have talk to little kids for a half hour doing that. The top photo is from quite a few years ago. It's two of my own children. The blonde over here, he's now 13, but at the time was probably 7. He taught these ornery little guys how to play Frisbee because he didn't care that he couldn't speak their language. He just pointed and showed them, and they all listened to him. So even if you forget all your Spanish, it's just being willing to try to interact and do the best you can. You may never have that opportunity to go to a country and be around all people that speak Spanish. If you do, I say take advantage of it and do it. But you never know who you'll come in contact with just in Ohio that you can use your Spanish to help build that relationship and make that connection. So the next slide is, I want to talk just a little bit about 2020 and COVID in the Dominican Republic. And I wrote down a few notes because some of these statistics are nationally. And then I can explain a little bit about what this slide is referring to. But first of all, in the DR, COVID hit the DR on a national level pretty large. For a while, just like everywhere else, their numbers were climbing. Most recently, the DR numbers have started to decline. They had closed their borders for a while. They reopened them, then they closed them again. I said currently they are open, so I could fly to the DR. No cruise ships or anything are running, but the airports are open. They have instilled a couple things that I thought were interesting. There's a curfew on a national level. On the weekends, that curfew is 7 p.m. And on the weekdays, actually it's later, it's till 9 p.m. Public schools, they have a new president, and he and his team have implemented this plan for public schools. Schools are all, they were supposed to start November 2nd. I don't think they have actually started because this program isn't ready, but school would be online and then through TV and radio. Again, that's their plan. All the details haven't happened the way they wanted, so as of right now, public school still isn't occurring on a national level. We are a private school, so we were able to start school in September, but our school is completely virtual. Back in March, our school went completely virtual, and that's what this picture is. A lot of people don't have computers, but they have phones. Most people have phones, and they use the app called WhatsApp to communicate. You can send text messages, you can do video chats, you can make phone calls on WhatsApp. You just need Wi-Fi or a data plan. A lot of people don't have data plans, but they'll have some access to Wi-Fi, or they'll add minutes. Phones are super cheap in the DR, so you don't have to have a lot of money. So they have access to this app called WhatsApp. So what our teachers had to do was either through a computer, if people had access to it, to send lessons, but more often they used WhatsApp, and they would record video lessons that the students would watch. Students would complete an assignment on paper, take a picture of it, and send it to their teacher on WhatsApp. Teacher would give feedback on WhatsApp. If a student didn't have access to that, or currently still doesn't, because this is still the system we're operating in, then they would drop off paper material of all the assignments. In the corner over here, we have a volunteer that actually, through the summer, met with small groups of students to help them catch up with some of the things that they missed out on, or just students who struggle a little more in school, and gave them extra help. We have a sponsorship program where people here in the States can sponsor a student, and usually letters can go back and forth. We usually take those letters with us when we travel, and since that wasn't able to happen, that's what the picture up here was. This is one of our students, and actually his mother wrote the letter, and they wrote a letter to the sponsor. Our team there, our Dominican team there, sent me through WhatsApp the picture, and then I was able to mail that to the sponsor. So like all of us here, they have had to find unique ways for education to still occur. I think I'm almost out of time. I normally, have a bell that would tell me when I need to stop talking, and since I don't, I thought we would end today by giving you a little tour of our office here. We are located, our stateside office is actually located in Findlay, Ohio, which is where I met Mrs. Murray, because she used to teach at Liberty Benton High School, where my children go to school. And normally I don't show people where our home base office is, but I thought, you know what, since I'm recording this, you all, I know it's such a shocking, fabulous surprise, but you all get to see a little bit of this small office that operates and helps support our ministry. So I'll take you on a little tour and show you around. The room I've been recording in is just our back room where we have meetings. We collect supplies. You'll see a big pile of supplies that are packaged up and will go, I think these are going to Haiti. I collect school supplies that we take to each of the countries because those kind of school supplies are a lot more expensive in those countries. So I know you all before have collected school supplies for me. So if you want to do that again, talk to Mrs. Murray and we'll make that happen. Then this is where the rest of the staff is. We have offices. This is Darren and Deb. Darren's part of our leadership training. Deb's part of our medical staff. I don't know, you want to show them the lovely artwork from the island? This is Renee and Dory. They work with our public relations and our sponsorship program. You won't be able to see it, but the guy behind the camera, you can say hi, David, they can hear your voice. No? He's actually our boss, but I'm making him do the legwork today. This is Pam. She runs our medical side of things. So that's a little bit of this tiny office. I know, you're all super excited that you got to see this fabulous office. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap up. I probably went too long and Mrs. Murray's gonna have to show the end of this video tomorrow. But I thank you so much for listening to me ramble on about Mission Possible and especially about the Dominican Republic and all the great things about that country. I normally have time and I get to see if you have questions. I can't really do that on a video. So if you have any follow-up questions to anything I said, let Mrs. Murray know. She can send me an email or on it and I can get back with you. And hopefully we get through this COVID and then next time I can come and see you all live and talk to you about the DR. See you later. Bye.